Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In our last video, we took a deep dive into the AWS Lambda console overview. Today, we are going to do a hands-on by creating a local project and uploading our code to the AWS Lambda. For simplicity, I'll be using a Maven project, which is a great choice for managing dependencies in the Java application. So let's get started. I'm using IntelliJ Community Edition. Let me create a simple Maven project. File, new project. Here I selected a Maven archetype, and here we are going to do a general Maven project. So you can just click on this new project and give a name. Maybe let's give a Lambda overview, and we can give a group ID and artifact ID. Let's go ahead with the default one for now. And JDK I'm going with a 1.8. You can select a different one if you want. The same way I'm going with the Maven, and if you want a Gradle, you can choose a Gradle, and I'm creating it. Yeah, the project is ready, the empty Maven project. First things first, when working with the AWS services, there is a corresponding SDK available for each service. This SDK provides us the libraries that we need to develop our code effectively. Let's go ahead and add the AWS Lambda SDK to our Maven project. We have to insert few dependencies to start with the AWS Lambda, which I have already copied. I'm just inserting it here in the POM XML. Let me create a dependencies. Yeah. Here I'm pasting it. So we need these two dependencies to start with AWS Lambda, this AWS Lambda Java events and the Java core. Now you have to refresh the Maven project. This project will download the artifact from the repository. Either you can just press this icon if you find it, or you can just right click on this POM Maven and reload project. If it is the first time doing this, it may take a minute or two, but it should be resolved pretty quickly. Yeah, there we go. I think the dependencies are resolved and we can start coding. For this example, I'm going to keep things simple. I won't be using any additional libraries or dependency injection methods right now. I'll be creating a basic handler and a model class with few fields. And let's start. I'm opening the Maven's source main Java. Let me create a package com.example. Let's create a basic handler. I'll tell you what is the handler means. Lambda handler, or let's say product handler class. Leave it empty, and I'm creating a Pojo. Let's create a model. So my idea is, let's create a product DB, and with the Lambda we are going to get the product ID as the input, and it will return the product object as the output from this Lambda. So just to represent the product, I'm creating a model class with the name product. Yeah, and let's add few attributes here. The product ID, let's keep it as int for now, and the name. Let's keep something, price. I need a getters and setters. Generate getters and setters for all fields. Same way, I am thinking to create a constructor, empty constructor, as well as the parameterized constructor. I'm creating a constructor, parameterized one. Let me create an empty constructor as well. Select none. Yeah, the empty constructor is done. So yeah, our model class is ready. Now to simulate some database data, I'll create a product finder class. Just to keep things straightforward, I won't be creating any DAO or service layer at this point. Let's create a DAO, or let's create a class that represents a DB object. DAO. Let's import the list. Let's add a few product in the list. Sorry, it's a double. I'm adding these fields, these product to the list. This code is pretty much self-explanatory. What I'm doing is I created few products in the constructor and I've added those products into the list, and I've created a method which is called get product by ID. Here we are passing the ID. Once this method got the ID, it will just stream this particular list and it will check for the matching ID. If the matching ID is found, then it will return the corresponding product. Now let's move on to developing the handler method. In Java, we know that the class containing the main method serves as the entry point. Similarly, in the AWS, the class that implements the interface called a request handler acts as the entry point. So here I have created a handler. Right now it is empty. Let's implement the request handler. So this request handler. Here the first generic object, this is the input, and the second one is, the first generic parameter is the input and the second one is the output. We have to give the data type. So the input, like I said, what I'm planning to do is we are going to get the product, the ID as a input, and we are going to return the product as the output. So the input, the ID in the product is an integer. So let's give an integer, and the output is a product class. Now we have to override a few methods with this interface. I'm just overriding implement handle request. If you see this handle request method, here it will just take the integer which is the input to the particular lambda, and it will return the product which is the output from the lambda. And the second object is the context. The context provides a wealth of information on the methods about lambda runtime environment. We have a separate video that dives deep into the context object, so be sure to check it out. Now let's develop the handle request method to find the product using our product finder. If the product is found, we'll return it. Otherwise, we'll just throw an exception. Done. So now the basic code is ready. Just to give a summary, we have created a basic Maven project, and I have added the right dependencies to start the Lambda, and I have created a product handler which implements this request handler interface. Whatever the class that implements this particular interface can be used as the entry point to the Lambda. Since we have implemented this particular interface, we have to override this method. This interface, the generic parameters, the first parameter type is the input to the Lambda, and the second parameter is the output what we are going to return from the Lambda. So here in the handle request method, we are getting the integer, the input to the Lambda as a first parameter, and we are getting this context object as a second parameter. And it will be returning the output, whatever the second parameter, whatever we are passed here, that will be the output here. In here, it's a pretty much a normal code. I mean, straightforward code. We are just getting the data from the DAO and we are just returning it. If the matching is found, we are returning it. Otherwise, we are throwing an exception. Let's do a clean install. So I'm just doing a clean install. Yeah, it's done. Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, this is a simple project and we'll build upon it in the future videos. In a more robust application, we should be using a dependency injection instead of creating an object directly like this. The same way, the DAO layer should fetch the data from the database, not like this. This we have done just for a simplicity purpose so that people can understand immediately. Don't worry, all these concepts, whatever I am telling you right now, are covered in our playlist. The next step is to upload our code into the AWS and run it. We'll tackle that in the next video. Thanks for watching.